The silence in my office felt heavy, but signing those final divorce papers gave me a sudden, clear sense of calm. Just as I set my pen down on the desk, my phone buzzed on the blotter with an incoming text from my husband. It was a single photo showing him beaming in a hospital room, standing beside my former best friend as they held two newborn babies. Underneath the picture, he had typed a short message telling me that he and my old roommate were starting their new chapter together. As parents of a boy and a girl. I placed the phone face down without replying and looked over the massive spread of financial documents covering my desk. For the past week, I had been working until sunrise to catalog every single asset, stock, and property registered in my name. My husband probably assumed that once I signed his legal settlement, I would quietly pack my bags and disappear into the background like a defeated ex-wife. He genuinely believed he had won, casting me aside for the woman who could give him a family while treating me like a cold career woman who lacked human warmth. My phone rang again, displaying his name across the screen. I let it ring for a few seconds before answering, remaining completely silent as I waited for him to speak first. His voice came through the speaker sounding smug and triumphant, asking me if I had seen the picture of his new twins. He went on about the weight of the babies and how hard the delivery had been for her, practically begging me to break down, cry, or give him some kind of dramatic reaction to validate his betrayal. I held a marker in my hand, calmly drawing a line across the financial chart on my whiteboard before answering him in a completely flat tone. I asked if I should send 2 gifts now, making sure to sound entirely unbothered by his news. The line went dead silent as his arrogance evaporated into confusion. He had called expecting a weeping woman he could feel guilty about. But instead, he was met with total indifference. When he finally found his voice again, his tone shifted into a patronizing lecture about how our 5-year marriage had felt like living in an icebox. He claimed that I was too focused on controlling every variable in my corporate job, while his new partner provided the warm, loving home he always wanted. Listening to him, I looked out my high-rise window at the city skyline, remembering how I had spent the best years of my life building his company from the ground up while he secretly drifted away. I reminded him that the signed settlement papers were already inside the steel safe in his home office, with the combination set to his birthday. His breathing grew heavy as he tried to figure out how I had known about his private safe. And when I had prepared everything, he angrily asked how long I had been planning this exit. And I calmly told him that I started the day I caught him lying about late nights at the office while his mistress posted photos from luxury hotel suites. He tried to argue, but I hung up the phone, set it aside, and turned back to my financial boards. Every dollar he had secretly funneled out of his company matched up perfectly with luxury gifts, expensive vacations, and the mortgage on the penthouse he bought for my former best friend. She was the same girl who had shared a dingy apartment with me in college, the person I had helped land a job, and the friend I had trusted completely until she decided to take my husband. The next afternoon, my husband arrived at my apartment alongside his corporate lawyer, expecting a standard division of assets. He wore an expensive tailored suit and tried to look composed, but his confidence faltered the moment he saw all of his personal belongings neatly packed into cardboard boxes near the front door. He demanded to know why I was making things so dramatic. But I simply pointed toward the empty leather chairs across from my desk and slid our prenuptial addendum toward his attorney. His lawyer began scanning through the pages, but his calm professional expression quickly turned into visible shock as he read through the financial records. I explained that the capital used to save his tech startup during its most critical moments came entirely from my personal trust fund, which meant that under our agreement, those assets remained my exclusive property. I added that I was willing to sell my remaining shares back to him at a massive discount, knowing his personal expenses were about to skyrocket with 2 newborns. His face turned a pale gray as he realized that the quiet wife, who stayed out of his corporate spotlight, had systematically documented every single piece of his financial misconduct over the years. He slammed his hand on the table, accusing me of plotting against him from the very beginning. I took a slow sip of my tea and reminded him that my job was risk assessment, and when a partnership carries too many liabilities, cutting your losses is the only logical move left to make. He began shouting, asking what I had ever actually done for our family besides managing spreadsheets and analyzing data. He brought up his mother's desperation for grandchildren, claiming that I was always too busy traveling for work to give him the family he wanted. Watching him throw a tantrum, I let out a soft, cold laugh, reminding him that we had spent 2 full years seeing top fertility specialists, who confirmed that neither of us had any medical issues preventing us from having children. He froze, his eyes darting away as his throat tightened. He stammered slightly, trying to claim that my stress levels were the reason we never conceived back then. I cut him off, pointing out that his sudden fertility with my former best friend seemed almost miraculous given the timeline. Deep down, he knew exactly what his mother would say when she finally met the children, because old family secrets always have. have a way of unraveling when exposed to the light. When he took his new partner and the newborns home to meet his mother at the family estate, the matriarch took one look at the infants and froze in total disbelief. She recognized the undeniable family traits immediately, realizing that the timeline of their affair went back much further than anyone had admitted. My former husband was left standing in his mother's living room, watching his carefully constructed narrative crumble in front of the entire family. I walked away from that marriage with my finances completely intact, my career thriving, and my freedom fully restored. Julian was left struggling to keep his business afloat under massive debt while dealing with the fallout of his ruined reputation. Betrayal often feels like an overwhelming disaster when it first happens, but once you step back and analyze the situation clearly, walking away with your dignity is the greatest victory you can ever achieve. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you never miss another dramatic drop, and drop a comment below letting me know what you would have done in this situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.